On the next McDougall MD, things under your sink that could make you sick.
And dealing with diabetes.
Don't miss it.
This is Hello Channel.
In a few minutes, you'll meet a woman who was poisoned by common household products you probably have in your own home. It happens more often than you think. It could happen to you and your family. We'll tell you what to watch out for. Plus, Dr. John has answers to your questions about how to live with diabetes. I'm Mary McDougall, and you're watching McDougall MD.
Hi, Mary.
How you doing?
Mary, I'm fine. You are so sweet, Mary.
I am. Oh, I fooled you.
Sweet. Sweet is the operative word.
Yes.
Because I want to talk to you about too much sweet. Diabetes. Sugar diabetes. And sugar diabetes is a really common problem, and it's becoming more common. There are two kinds of diabetes, and I want to separate them out for you right now so we can talk about both of them a little bit. One is what we call the childhood kind of diabetes, not because only children get it, but it's the most common type of diabetes in children. Actually, half the people are over the age of 19 who get the childhood type.
That's juvenile diabetes.
Juvenile, right, type 1.
I lost a friend of mine, my friend, actress Dana Hill. I lost to that disease.
It's a devastating disease, to say the least.
Yes.
But we do know the cause, and so therefore we can prevent it. And the second kind of diabetes is type 2 or adult type diabetes, and we know the cause of that also, and not only can we prevent it, but even after people have type 2 diabetes, we can cure it in many cases. And I love to use that word cure it. I was taught as a medical doctor never to use that word, particularly in relationship to diet and exercise and things you can do without drugs, but you can cure it.
But how, the juvenile diabetes,
yes.
how is that handled?
Well, juvenile diabetes,
really
the type 1, is a kind of diabetes where the insulin-producing cells of the pancreas are destroyed. And they're destroyed due to an immune reaction, autoimmune reaction we call it, where the body attacks itself. Now, I never understood why the body would attack itself. It seemed like such a dumb thing for the body to do, to attack itself. But we have discovered, scientists have discovered over the years, what triggers the body to attack itself. Now, the way it was initially discovered is they looked around the world to see where type 1 diabetes was common and where it was rare. And what they found was almost a straight line correlation between type 1 diabetes and cow milk protein consumption. So what they did is they took cow's milk back to the laboratory, they fed it to experimental animals, and they were able to cause the animal to make antibodies to the cow's milk that weren't just specific to the cow's milk, they also attacked the animal's pancreas, the insulin-producing cells. The classic study done in children was published in July 1992 in the New England Journal of Medicine. They looked at 150 kids with type 1 diabetes, examined their blood, and found that all of them had high levels of antibodies to cow milk protein. And actually, the antibodies were directed to one specific cow milk protein, and a segment of 17 amino acids on that cow milk protein that antibody was directed to.
Okay, so what you're saying that is if my child had juvenile diabetes, isn't it a little risky and wild for you to say just take cow's milk out of their diet and then they'll be all better?
You said this was a human child, not a cow, right? This is not a calf.
Yes, but I'm telling you because we want to know this, don't we?
You want to feed children human breast milk. In fact, human breast milk is protective against type 1 diabetes. Now
But only some kids have this and some don't.
That's right. It's just like some people smoke cigarettes, get lung cancer, some don't.
People don't. Okay.
There are some reasons we know why some get it. Yeah, bad luck, genetics may play a role in it, but these are uncontrollable things. What happens is that in some children who become susceptible, the intestinal barrier becomes compromised so that the cow milk protein can get through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream. We call it a leaky gut. Now you have cow milk protein floating around in the blood. The body looks at the cow milk protein and says, that's foreign, that's a foreign protein, that's like a bacteria or a virus, I got to make an antibody against it. Makes the antibody against the cow milk protein, but it's not just specific. It finds those same 17 amino acids that are on the cow milk protein, it finds it on the insulin-producing cells.
It comes and gets it.
Of the pancreas. Same sequence is there. And it attaches, and it takes about 5 to 7 years, and it destroys the child's pancreas, or adult's pancreas, biteful after biteful of cheese, spoonful after spoonful of ice cream. Now, that's type 1. Type 2 is a disease of affluence. It's a disease from eating lots and lots of rich food.
foods.
And it's associated with being fat, but you don't have to be fat, but you usually are. What happens is the fat in the food, and we demonstrated this way back in 1927. We fed fat to medical students, and what happens is their blood sugar went up because the fat paralyzed the insulin. Now, a lot of people think that diabetes is due to sugar. It's not. In that same experiment, they fed a high carbohydrate diet that was actually half sugar and half starch to these medical students, and their blood sugars did not go up. They stayed low.
It's not the sugar.
Right. So you take that experience. And this experience, by the way, is very extensive in population studies these days. We see, for example, the Pima Indians in Tucson, Arizona, who didn't have any diabetes 75 years ago, were put on a reservation, forced to eat the rich Western diet, and of course they did it without much reluctance. Forced to eat the rich Western diet, and they have developed a population where half the people have diabetes. We see that in various Polynesian islands.
So what's our solution here?
Okay, now if you take somebody who has type 2 diabetes, the adult type, and you remove the cause, which is that rich diet and not enough exercise, and you put them on a high carbohydrate diet, lots of rice, beans, potatoes, vegetables, and so on, what happens is their blood sugars come down, and the University of Kentucky Medical School reports that they can get 2/3 to 3/4 of adult type diabetics off all their insulin and almost all of them off all their diabetic pills.
By changing
their diet. That's right, to a high carbohydrate diet. Now you add some exercise to that, some weight loss to that, and you've really helped these people tremendously. And plus, it's the same diet that keeps both kinds of diabetics from having complications like blindness, heart attacks, and so on.
There you go. There you have it, everybody. Now we know. Thank you. That's interesting facts. It's all the diet again, John.
Well, diet's a big thing.
Coming up after a brief break, Dr. Lynn Marshall and Judy Spence will join us to talk about dangerous household products. I can't wait for this. Stay with us. I don't know about this.
Hello, I'm Nastasia, and I'd like to introduce you to Hello Channel, the innovative new way to learn English as a second language. If you can learn English, your opportunities expand. Knowing English allows you greater job options, more money, and a better lifestyle. Here's the best part. Learning English is now easy because Hello Channel brings it right to your home. Come join our classroom, enjoy great entertainment, and improve your vocabulary, all while you watch TV. A brighter future is ahead if you'll just say hello.
And welcome back. With us we have Dr. Lynn Marshall. She's with the Environmental Clinic in Toronto. And we have Judy Spence, who's a nurse, who's also president of the Environmental Society. I don't have that quite right. What is it?
Environmental Illness Society
Environmental,
of Canada.
close enough. And let's start with you, Dr. Marshall. What kind of training did you get to become an environmental medical doctor specialist?
I guess I don't consider myself a specialist. I consider myself a doctor who has a special interest in the area of environment and health.
So are you a general practitioner, a family practitioner by training?
Family physician by training, and I did additional training through the American Academy of Environmental Medicine in the United States, and because we did not have similar training in Canada, and eventually got a fellowship from that organization. And
well, what is different about an environmental doctor than, say, the type of practice an internist like me would practice?
An environmental physician is really more interested in connecting health problems with environmental exposures, looking at the impact that different exposures we all have in everyday life on our health.
If I came to you, what would some of my complaints be?
Could be almost anything, but usually what you would have noticed is that some of your symptoms were linked with exposures that didn't seem to bother other people, but they definitely seemed to bother
me.
you.
And you try and find out what that is.
You know, Mary, they forgot to teach me about environmental medicine in medical school.
Well, John, I think you should go back.
They still don't teach it much, do they?
Well, it's coming. It's a newish area, only for the last 50 years or so, but it has been expanding. The occupational physicians now have broadened out to include environmental medicine in their work, and that's, I think, very good. Their focus, of course, is primarily on occupational work.
Sure,
on work
exposure in the work. Yeah.
Sure. Whereas the environmental physician's interest is broader based. It's any age group. from children through to elderly,
Right.
and interested in home exposures as well as workplace and school exposures also.
Judy Spence, how did you get interested in environmental medicine?
I got sick.
Personal thing, it dragged you right into it.
It certainly did. It was like getting hit on the head with a 2x4.
Okay,
You have
tell us a
to
little
pay
bit about it.
attention.
Oh, was it in your home? Is that where you first started to notice it?
Yes, yes. I was actually renovating my home and had set up a workshop and was using oil paints, alkyd-based paints, lacquers, epoxies, and so forth in the home. So I had actually absorbed a lot of the chemicals through the skin and by breathing them, the fumes and so forth. So I ended up becoming quite toxic. I was poisoned by the chemicals.
What were your symptoms? What were you feeling?
Well, they were very, very diverse, but in a matter of 4 hours, I had gone from being a healthy 38-year-old mom to a totally disabled woman who was reacting 24 hours a day. I would have reactions that would last for 2-3 hours, would settle down just a bit. 10-15 minutes later, I'd get another hit from something else I was not aware of.
When you got out of the room, didn't that solve the problem?
I could not get out of the room. My house was a chemical soup because, again, all the fumes and so forth were in the home that I was, renovating. And I was reacting to everything from the toilet paper roll in the bathroom to hubby's aftershave to the kids' deodorant to the dog to everything in the home. I became what's called a universal reactor. I reacted to everything man-made and natural. So
Well,
where
that
you
makes
go,
life tough.
where do you go?
And what did you? So where did you go? What did you do?
Being a nurse, it certainly it struck me that this was very, very odd. I've never been trained in this area. It didn't fit any of the paradigms that I'd ever been exposed to. It didn't fit any of the profiles for the diseases that I had experienced.
Well, you probably thought you had something else that
It was a psychiatric problem, wasn't it?
No. I knew it wasn't that.
Are you sure? I mean, if you'd come to me, that's what I was told to tell you.
You just thought you were going crazy, but you knew you were sick.
No, actually, to be very frank, the very first indicators I had that there was a problem was that my urine was coming out blue, green, orange, and so forth, which said to me I was in big trouble.
Something was
and likely
wrong.
to do with the headaches I'd had for a couple of months that the doctors just dismissed and so forth. But no, I was having muscle spasms. I was going into shock, blue lips, blue fingers. There was poor oxygen. Asthma started. Seizures started. So it was quite evident that
See
there was
any doctors
something.
about this?
Oh, sure.
And?
I saw my regular physician. my
Probably did
GP.
lots of tests on you for everything else.
He gave me anti.
Depressants.
No.
No, it is. It's a psychiatric problem.
Well, no. First,
She was lucky.
we started with analgesics for pain. Your aspirins, and then we went
Treat the
to
symptoms.
Non-steroidal
treat the
anti-inflammatories.
symptoms.
Treat those symptoms. I know that one.
And then there was a recognition finally after I insisted, that I really stuck to my story because it was real. The family was seeing me experience this. I mean, you pass out and so forth. Muscle spasms all the time. Could not tolerate foods.
As
and
a
so
nurse,
forth.
did you start to figure this out on your own?
Yes. Well, I knew that it had to have something to do with the chemicals I was working with.
Is that-
I ran a renovation company years ago, and I thought I was very safe with my employees, teaching them, good techniques and so forth. But then there's to understand the nuances. What really is a safe environment? How much air do you actually have to have when it says ventilate well? They're not. The instructions are not there for people using home products. I.e., I was holding sponges with paints in my hand as I was making bleached oak cupboards.
Well, how did you
Right.
get this? How did you get it solved?
How
What
did you
steps
figure
did
it
you
all
take?
out?
I was bedridden for about 4 months. I could only crawl from my bed to the bathroom and back. And eventually, enough of the toxins came down. My body handled enough of it that I was able to start getting outside in the spring. And I started to go to the libraries, our national health libraries,
Research
and started to read the books and understood more about toxicology. I would sit there absolutely fascinated by what I was reading.
So you saved yourself? You didn't go to see an environmental specialist doctor?
I did eventually.
Eventually.
Did you see Dr. Marshall?
No, she's in a different city.
Okay.
But it finally dawned on me that it had to do with the environment. I went through the yellow pages and said, well,
Yeah.
environmental medicine must be
Sure.
where it's at. And that was a 6-month waiting list.
Right.
Wow.
So 6 months. Now, indeed, what I had done is I'd gone a few times to the emergency ward of our nearby hospital, and I said, I'm working with chemicals. This is what happened. Can you do dialysis? Can we get the chemicals out of my, can we assess?
Yeah, that's
And
one of
can we
my
get 'em out?
questions. Dr. Marshall, is there any way that, because there are people who come and say that they're loaded with toxins and that's their problem. Is there any way to detoxify somebody?
Yes, but it's still an area of interest and of research, and it's very slowly developing. What has been found, I think what's starting to emerge are the mechanisms and trying to understand what are the underlying problems.
So there are some solutions, but not very many.
Well, the
Changing your
solution is to get away from
lifestyle
those things, isn't it?
The
Get away.
solutions, first of all, are
Just to
avoidance.
get away. And
be aware of
yes,
what it might be.
Being aware is very important, and if one can generally lower the level of exposures that one
Right.
has to things that are known
But I want some
toxins.
quick fixes. Maybe when we come
Well,
back,
when
you can
we-
give us
maybe
some
when we
quick
come back,
fixes.
we can-
I want the pill that'll solve the problem.
That's right. Well,
I'm
we're
going
going
to
to try and help
doctor.
with that pill and show you some safe replacements for toxic household products when we continue right after these messages.
Hello. That's right, I said hello. I'm talking about an exciting new television channel that will change your life. My name is Ruth, and I want you to be one of the first to know about Hello Channel. Hello Channel is designed to teach you to speak English. Anyone can learn. We offer something for everyone. You'll see programming for children, teenagers, and adults, all on different levels. With Hello Channel, you'll hear, see, read, and speak English as you're watching entertaining television programs, making it easy to learn. If you've always wanted to learn English but haven't had a chance, Hello Channel is perfect for you. Start today, and remember, for a brighter future, just say hello.
Welcome back. With us is Bernard Miller, a man who's in pain all the time, who needs that detoxification that
That we
Dr.
were
Marshall was
talking
talking
about.
about.
Yes,
Judy
you're right,
Smith.
John.
So they
Yes,
may
I
have
do.
the answer for you. Why are you in pain all the time?
I'm in pain because I was poisoned by chemicals, and one of the ways in which it manifests is that I have fibromyalgia, which is characterized by constant pain.
But why aren't you better? Why you stay away from all these things now, don't you?
I stay away from all these things when I can. If I were to stay away from them completely, I would have to live in a bubble. As soon as I come into even this studio, there are products around me which I can't avoid, which affect me. They never used to.
Do
Before
they
I got
affect you
sick,
immediately?
they affect me within seconds. I can normally tell my eyes start to sting, my mucous membranes start to burn, and then I know I'm reacting.
And you think you're in need of some detoxification?
I know I'm in need of some
Well,
detoxification.
maybe we'll have the answer on that in a moment.
Yeah.
You brought
I look
along some
forward to that.
products that are
That are friendly.
yeah, that are good for
Absolutely.
you.
I use a whole range of products which don't contain the chemicals which I know make me sick. Now, it's a personal matter. Different people will react to different things, so they've got to try and see. But for any household product you've got, and I have to say, a lot of the household products are killers, there are safer alternatives. One way is to make it yourself. There are books like this which will tell you how to make your own household products.
Okay.
And they'll tell you things like mix olive oil, white vinegar, and warm water, and you can make an olive oil wood furniture polisher.
Oh, great.
With that polish, you can actually go out and buy one ready-made.
take that.
Here is one.
Okay, here's one.
So you
It's
don't have to go
earth-friendly.
back to doing it yourself. You're not going back to the Middle Ages. Anything
Right.
you want to do,
You can
there's
go
a
out
safe
and get it.
alternative.
It is available, just so
No,
we know.
cleaning is a problem also. And
Cleaning is a
one of
problem.
the things that I always learned when I was in my training was the solution to pollution is dilution, which means you can just use plain water to clean most things.
That works for
You don't
most
have to
things.
use. You don't have to lose.
But people live in a society in which they want things to be brighter than bright. Now, you're holding liquid bleach there.
Liquid
and it's a
bleach.
safe alternative because it's non-chlorine. So for a lot of people who react to chlorine, it will be something they can use.
And it's probably better for the environment as well.
It is a lot better for the environment.
Let me just pass those over here.
Sure.
We're going to go through
Great
these.
soap.
Okay.
Yes, this soap.
That soap
smells
is not
very
only
good.
good in itself in that it doesn't contain harmful chemicals generally, but it actually helps with the process of detoxing through the skin.
Does
it
it
will help to
really?
draw out the chemicals. And I brought a deodorant because there was a
Tom's.
tragic story a couple of months ago in Britain. 16-year-old boy died overdosing on deodorant sprays. When they held a post-mortem, he was found to have 10 times the lethal levels of butane and propane in his
Wow.
body, which had come from the propellants in the aerosol.
Now here we're also going to go through
That's a
these
major problem.
really quick because we don't have that much more time. But this is a drain opener.
That's right. People put sulfuric acid and hydrochloric acid in their drains to clear them. Apart from anything else, they cause chemical reactions and can make them really sick. These are natural enzymes.
are
They
all
will
natural.
slowly
Are they as
dissolve.
good?
They're as
Do
good.
they work? People
They
always say,
do
"Oh,
work.
is it gonna get my
And they
clothes
will
clean?"
slowly, over a couple of hours, dissolve things that the hydrochloric acid might clear in a few minutes, but they won't make you sick in the process.
What else do we have here real quick? We have tile and bath cleaner.
Toilet
And we-
bowl cleaner.
Toilet
That's
bowl
something
cleaner.
important.
And we
Essential, and
have
it works just
a
as well as
natural
anything you
washing
might like.
liquid.
Oh, this is probably
Oh.
ammonia. Vinegar.
This is probably
vinegar and water.
No ammonia. It's
Ah,
vinegar.
vinegar and
Some
water and
people
carpet
can't
cleaner.
tolerate vinegar, so take products that don't have
Yeah.
it. People
Right.
have got to find out what works for themselves. They've got to look at the labels.
And educate
They've got to
ourselves and make
say,
those choices.
this works for me, this makes me sick, I'll stay away from
Well,
it.
thanks for that
Great.
advice.
Thank you very,
You're most
very much.
welcome.
Don't go away. We'll be right back. This is great. Thank you for joining us.
Learn English at home. Just say hello.
Honesty. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Welcome back. With us is Bernard Miller, a man who's in pain all the time, who needs that detoxification that
That we
Dr.
were
Marshall was
talking
talking
about. Yes,
Judy
you're
Smith.
right,
So
John.
they
Yes,
may
I
have
do.
the answer for you. Why are you in pain all the time?
I'm in pain because I was poisoned by chemicals, and one of the ways in which it manifests is that I have fibromyalgia, which is characterized by constant pain.
But why aren't you better? Why you stay away from all these things now, don't you?
I stay away from all these things when I can. If I were to stay away from them completely, I would have to live in a bubble. As soon as I come into even this studio, there are products around me which I can't avoid, which affect me. They never used to
Do
before
they
I got
affect you
sick.
immediately?
They affect me within seconds. I can normally tell my eyes start to sting, my mucous membranes start to burn, and then I know I'm reacting.
And you think you're in need of some detoxification?
I know I'm in need of some
Well,
detoxification.
maybe we'll have the answer on that in a moment.
Yeah.
You brought
I look
along some
forward to that.
products that are
That are friendly.
that are good for
Absolutely.
you.
I use a whole range of products which don't contain the chemicals which I know make me sick. Now, it's a personal matter. Different people will react to different things, so they've got to try and see. But for any household product you've got, and I have to say, a lot of the household products are killers, there are safer alternatives. One way is to make it yourself. There are books like this which will tell you how to make your own household products.
Okay.
And they'll tell you things like mix olive oil, white vinegar, and warm water, and you can make an olive oil wood furniture polisher.
Oh, great.
With that polish, you can actually go out and buy one ready-made.
take that.
Here is one.
Okay, here's one.
So you
It's
don't have to go
earth-friendly.
back to doing it yourself. You're not going back to the Middle Ages. Anything
Right.
you want to do,
You can
there's
go
a
out
safe
and get it.
alternative.
It is available, just so
No,
we know.
cleaning is a problem also. And
Cleaning is a
one of
problem.
the things that I always learned when I was in my training was the solution to pollution is dilution, which means you can just use plain water to clean most things.
That works for
You don't
most
have to
things.
use. You don't have to lose.
But people live in a society in which they want things to be brighter than bright. Now, you're holding liquid bleach there.
Liquid
and it's a
bleach.
safe alternative because it's non-chlorine. So for a lot of people who react to chlorine, it will be something they can use.
And it's probably better for the environment as well.
It is a lot better for the environment.
Let me just pass those over here.
Sure.
We're going to go through
Great
these.
soap. Okay.
Yes, this soap.
That soap
smells
is not
very
only
good.
good in itself in that it doesn't contain harmful chemicals generally, but it actually helps with the process of detoxing through the skin.
Does
it will
it
help to
really?
dry out the chemicals.
Oh.
And I brought a deodorant
We know
because there was a
Tom's.
tragic story a couple of months ago in Britain. 16-year-old boy died overdosing on deodorant sprays. When they held a post-mortem, he was found to have 10 times the lethal levels of butane and propane in his
Wow.
body, which had come from the propellants in the aerosol.
Now here we're also going to go through
That's a
these really,
major problem.
really quick because we don't have that much more time. But this is a drain opener.
That's right. People put sulfuric acid and hydrochloric acid in their drains to clear them. Apart from anything else, they cause chemical reactions and can make them really sick. These are natural enzymes.
they're
They
all
will
natural.
slowly
Are they as
dissolve.
good?
They're as
Do
good.
they work? People
they
always say,
do
"Oh,
work.
is it gonna get my
And they
clothes
will
clean?"
slowly, over a couple of hours, dissolve things that the hydrochloric acid might clear in a few minutes, but they won't make you sick in the process.
What else do we have here real quick? We have tile and bath cleaner.
Toilet
and
bowl cleaner.
Toilet
That
bowl
sounds
cleaner.
important.
And we
Essential, and
have
it works just
a
as well as
natural
anything you
washing
might buy.
liquid.
Oh, this is probably
Oh.
ammonia. Vinegar.
This is probably-
vinegar and water.
No ammonia. It's
Oh,
vinegar.
Vinegar and
Some
water and
people
carpet
can't
cleaner.
tolerate vinegar, so take products that don't have it. People
Right.
have got to find out what works for themselves. They've got to look at the labels.
And educate
They've got to
ourselves and
say,
make those choices.
this works for me, this makes me sick, I'll stay away from
Well,
it.
thanks for that
Great.
advice.
Thank you very,
You're most
very much.
welcome.
Don't go away. We'll be right back. This is great. Thank you for being here.
Hello, my name is Javier. I'm from Spain. I learned English. So can you. Watch Hello Channel.
And welcome back. Rejoining us, we have Lynn Marshall, Dr. Marshall, and we have Judy Spence. And do you have a solution for Bernard? I mean, he needs to be detoxified.
Well, Bernard needs to see a physician who specializes
Well, here's
in
one right here,
environmental
right here.
medicine.
That's
He needs
right.
to be assessed as to what exactly he needs. Detox may be part of what he needs, and he should actually be followed up by a professional. I did have detoxification. I did have IV supplementation. I was able to remove chemicals and heavy metals from my body, and I was able to turn off the reactions. That worked for me.
Dr. Marshall, isn't that a little controversial, the IV vitamins and other agents, EDTA and so on?
It is, and I think it warrants a lot more investigation. Certainly empirical evidence has been, though, that the intravenous supplementation has been very helpful in people who have been
Why hasn't it been studied? To me,
poisoned.
it's just logical, and it seems like it would be so easy to study. Here you've got a chemical substance that people can make money off of, drug companies, IV, vitamin C, IV, so on. They ought to be investing in properly controlled studies to see whether this works or not. What's the hold up?
Especially if it's helping people.
Well, certainly empirically it appears to be, and also there are other mechanisms of support with enzyme supplementation as well as nutrient supplementation that helps detoxification via sauna, along with massage,
that's
exercise, and so on.
Not going to hurt.
And the
And
Environmental
help a lot of
Illness
people.
Society is actually raising funds for research. And we work with the Medical Research Council of Canada and for fund programs.
Can you give us a number, Judy, that someone might call in case anybody is having some chemical sensitivities and this sounds very familiar to you? What is a number that they could call?
The Environmental Illness Society has a toll-free number in Canada. It's 1-877-362-1103. In the U.S., would you like a U.S.
Yes.
number?
Yes, definitely.
People can contact MCS Referral and Resource, and they are at 410. The area code is 410-362-6400.
Well, thank you very
you
much.
so
It was really
much.
great
Thank
to have
you
all
all
you on
for
the show. We
being
wish you the best.
here.
Hope you get
Yes.
better.
Thank you very
And thank you
much.
very much
Feel
for joining
better.
us.
Yes, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for being here.